We'll continue to remember the day 12 years ago when al-Qaeda hit us at home. And as the crisis in Syria unfolds, questions are surfacing about the extent of al-Qaeda's influence on the rebels fighting the Assad regime. It's a big factor in some of the debates that we're having about what we should do there. Take a listen to this editorial today by Thomas Friedman in the New York Times. He writes, quote, "No one, hawk or dove, wants to see American boots on the ground in Syria under any conditions. Count me among them. The only problem is that it is impossible to imagine a solution to the conflict in Syria without some outside force putting boots on the ground." He goes on to say, "I understand why there are no volunteers, but the United Nations Security Council will eventually have to address this reality. Otherwise, Syria will become Afghanistan on the Mediterranean." Joining us now, Peter Brooks, former CIA officer and senior fellow for national security affairs at the Heritage Foundation. Some strong words there, Peter. Afghanistan on the Mediterranean, is that what Syria is becoming?
Certainly a possibility. I mean, we're hearing all sorts of calculations about what portion of the rebels are part of al-Qaeda or Islamist extremists. Everything from 10 to 15% to 50%. The problem is that we know that al-Qaeda is resident in Syria. A lot of them have come from Iraq. Al-Qaeda in Iraq and Syria have talked about setting up a state that includes both Syria and Iraq. We see the violence that's going on there. And this is the other part, the flip side of the coin, from the chemical weapons discussion that's going on. I mean, chemical weapons is only one small part of the terrible violence that's going on in Syria. There's the Assad regime itself, which is a terrorist regime. There's also the terrorists on the other side fighting Assad. So there's a lot going on.
Sure,
and what
Peter,
it really tells us, Jenna, is that there's no comprehensive policy by this administration for dealing with Syria.
Well, one of the reasons why there's been such a debate over the policy is that it's difficult to understand what is the threat to us here at home. That may all be happening, Peter, as you say. But what is the threat to our homeland that is going on in Syria?
Well, that as it stands today, it's mostly a national fight between those sort of things. But as Friedman mentions, the fact is that at some point in the future, if Syria becomes a terrorist state or under the control of al-Qaeda, they could put us in the crosshairs, just like what happened in Afghanistan. Al-Qaeda looks for places that are lawless, where it's chaos, where there's a weak government, and then they use that to plan, train, and operate and recruit. And that's exactly what Afghanistan was like before 9/11, Jenna.
So when it comes to this question about boots on the ground, though, and Thomas Friedman said this clearly, he doesn't want us to go there. He said it would be great if there was somebody else that was willing to step in. Right. And that is a question that our viewers have as well, Peter. Where are the other people that would be willing to step in? For example, the Saudis, they're putting a lot of weapons and money into the rebels.
Qataris,
yes,
others.
All of them. So why wouldn't they be willing to put the bad elements down and bring the good elements to the front?
Well, look, there's a lot of freeloaders in international relations, unfortunately, and the United States tends to have to do a lot of the heavy lifting. That's why without the United States getting involved in the CW problem, nobody else is coming along. The Brits voted against it. The French are waiting it out. The fact is, it depends what he's talking about, Jenna, whether he's talking about peacemaking or peacekeeping. Peacekeeping would come after a political settlement. Peacemaking is when you have an intervention, you send forces in there, an international force or American force or some other force, to actually divide the two and keep the peace. So it depends on what he's talking about there. So there are many different ways. But as everybody understands, war is ugly business, and if they don't have to get involved themselves, they're glad to let somebody else do it. And in many cases, that's been the United States.
Is that the price we pay, though, for being the global leaders that we are? Is that just part of the deal, that we would have to be the ones to go in, and we're not advocating for that, as we've had this conversation on the air, but is that the price we pay for leadership?
It is a price you pay for leadership, but it's certainly something we need to debate. And about this chemical weapons debate, I don't think the Obama administration gave us the strong national interest reason for involving ourselves, while he did give us a moral and ethical reason for doing so. So this is something that it should be debated by the American people and the Congress in conjunction with the administration at the time. But it's the weightiest question that we deal with,
Absolutely.
Jenna, as being the world's leading superpower at the moment.
And the question then also is the timeline we have in all of this. Peter,
Sure.
Always great to have you. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.